What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Season 7 predictions video. For those of you that are fans of the Golden Company, make sure you go over to Cal's channel, that way you can watch our most recent collaboration we did together. In that video, we discussed the future of the Night King and what he will be up to next season. I will put the links for that video down in my description. But in this one, I'm going to list all the characters I think will die, plus the characters the plot leak said will die during Season 7. I have several written down here, so this may take more than one video to do, so with that being said, let's get right into this. Make sure all of you comment below with your Season 7 predictions too. Which characters do you think will die? But let's start this video off with the major character that's going to die next season, which will be Littlefinger. The plot leak said Littlefinger will die next season, and I absolutely agree with that. I'm still not sure he will die the exact same way the plot leak said, but I do think he will die next season. Most of the politics will be getting wrapped up to make way for the war against the Night King, and I think Littlefinger will be one of those characters to go. The North will need the Vale army on their side, and with Littlefinger in the way, it definitely complicates things because he obviously cannot be trusted at all. The plot leak said Sansa will sentence him to death, which Arya will then carry out. I think that would be a cool way for him to die, by the hands of one of the Starks, but I actually think he could die another way, which is through the Moon Door. If you want to find out more about that, check out my Sansa Stark takeover video. Littlefinger is a great addition to the show, and although he does deserve to die, his scheming, manipulating, and treachery will be missed by many. And speaking of the Vale army, the next person on my list is Euron Royce. I think there is going to be a little bit of a power struggle with the Vale army next season. Littlefinger does have a lot of influence over Sweet Robin, which basically gives Littlefinger control of the Vale army. But I think Sansa will start to use her influence over Sweet Robin to keep the Vale forces fighting with the North, no matter what type of backdoor deals Littlefinger may be up to. But I think somehow Euron Royce will get in Littlefinger's way, and I think Littlefinger is going to have him killed. Littlefinger may fear that Royce is in Sweet Robin's ear, turning him against him, and I think this is when Euron Royce will bite the dust. We already saw back in Season 5 how easily this man could have been killed just on the word of Littlefinger. Sweet Robin was going to have him killed then, but Littlefinger changed his mind. I think when Littlefinger realizes Sansa is a dead end, he may aim his sights elsewhere, and this is when Euron Royce may try and step in or overplay his hand, and then that's when Littlefinger will make sure this man is out of his way. Now this next one's not an easy one for me to say, because although this character hasn't been featured that much, I still really like him, but I think him and his crew are all definitely gonna die next season. This character is Dolorous Edd in The Night's Watch. The Night's Watch is probably my favorite part of the story, to be honest with you. Jon Snow was the first character I really connected with when I first started watching the show, and by default, I grew really fond of the Night's Watch and their storyline. I could honestly watch a show based solely on the Night's Watch. That's how interesting and intriguing the Wall and everything going on at the Wall and beyond the Wall is to me. But I think most of us knew this day would come. The White Walker threat is increasing by each episode, and it's just a matter of time before they breach the Wall, and when they do, the Night's Watch will be completely decimated. If you've seen any of my other videos, then you know that I think the entire Night's Watch at Castle Black will be killed by the Night King and then raised as whites to fight in his army. And I wouldn't be surprised if Lord Commander Edd is killed and turned into a white, and then Jon is eventually the one that has to put him down. I think that would be a heartbreaking scene for Jon to have to do this to one of his best friends, one of his brothers. But it would also be the heart-wrenching type of scene that Game of Thrones tends to do to us. And since we're talking about characters that will end up fighting for the Night King, this leads me to the next character that I think will die during Season 7. This was in the plot leak too, so I can't take full credit for this one, but this one is Benjen Stark. Benjen Stark is currently beyond the Wall all alone, surrounded by the Night King's army, so it's just a matter of time before they catch up to him, if they haven't already. And according to Benjen, they did try to kill him once, but he said the Children of the Forest were able to save him by plunging dragonglass into his heart, just like they did with the Night King. Benjen says he's still fighting for the living, but we do not know this for a fact. He could possibly be sending Bran through the Wall on purpose to allow the Night King through, but who really knows? But according to the plot leak, Uncle Benjen will be getting swarmed by an army of whites while he is rescuing Jon north of the Wall. Once again, I'm not quite sure it's going to go down like this, but I absolutely think Benjen will end up fighting for the Night King and his army. And I also think Jon will end up having to be the one to kill his Uncle Benjen. It will be sad as fuck, but I think it is going to go down like that. Jon will be left with no choice but to permanently kill Benjen Stark. The next person on my list is Euron Greyjoy, which I just made a video about recently as well. I definitely think Euron is going to die next season. A king has died during every single season, and out of the remaining kings on the show, Euron is definitely going to be the first one to go. I think Euron will do some significant damage to Dany's fleet early next season, and he will also capture some of Dany's allies, and then he will align himself with Cersei. Euron will definitely cause some damage next season, but by the end of the season he is definitely going to die. It's unfortunate because Euron could be a game changer. If you've read the Forsaken chapter, then you know shit's about to go down, and Euron is just getting warmed up. But in the television show, he has been brought in too late and he's underdeveloped. As unlikely as this may sound, I think Theon could end up being the one to kill Euron next season. I think Theon could come face to face with Euron in an attempt to save his sister Yara, in which Euron is going to underestimate him. Or I also think Jaime Lannister could end up killing Euron. Jaime's not going to be a fan of this guy, nor is he going to like the alliance that he makes with his sister. I feel like Jaime is going to have some problems with Euron, which could lead to his death. I think Euron leaves the show just as fast as he was brought in, and it will probably be a Season 7 finale death. Septa Unella will also die during Season 7. Cersei had her strapped down to a table and left for the mountain to play with. Cersei said she was not going to kill her right away, but she was going to brutally torture her instead. She will definitely not be treated well by the mountain. But at some point next season, I do think we're going to get a glimpse into that room again where she was strapped down. And when we see that room again where the mountain was left with her, I think we're just going to see a disgusting mess left behind. Cersei said she was not meant to die today. She will not die for a while. And unfortunately for Septa Unella, this is going to be true. But she will eventually be killed, most likely by bleeding to death after the mountain is finished with her. And speaking of torture, this leads me to the next set of characters that are going to die, which are the Sand Snakes and Ellaria Sand. According to the plot leak, 2 of the Sand Snakes will die during an attack out at sea with Euron Greyjoy. Apparently Euron catches up to a portion of Dany's fleet, most likely the Martell and Greyjoy fleet, in which Euron wipes them out, killing 2 of the Sand Snakes in the process, and capturing the rest, including Yara Greyjoy. After this takes place, it appears that Euron takes these prisoners to King's Landing, most likely as an offering to Cersei Lannister. When the Sand Snakes end up in Cersei's hands, their fate is sealed. Cersei knows they killed her daughter Myrcella, so there is no way the Sand Snakes or Ellaria will ever leave King's Landing alive again. I definitely think she will sick the mountain on them just like she did with Septa Unella. We know if there was anything in this world that Cersei truly loved, it was her children. And considering Ellaria killed one of those children, Cersei's only daughter, she will not show them any kind of mercy. I wouldn't be surprised to see them killed in the same exact episode that they arrived, to be honest with you. But moving on, the next character that dies next season, in my opinion, will be Grey Worm. I think at some point next season, Daenerys and Jon will lose a big character out of their group. The series is getting very close to its end, and we know it's going to have a bittersweet ending with many deaths leading up to it. And I think next season we are going to feel some big losses out of these 2 camps. Daenerys is going to lose someone close to her, which may even further motivate her to join forces with Jon. And I think that person on her team that dies is going to be Grey Worm. We know from the reports that Grey Worm will be involved in most likely the biggest battle next season, so he might die in that battle. There was also an interesting piece of evidence from the newly released photos by HBO. If you look at this group photo of Dany, Tyrion, Missandei, Varys, and Grey Worm, you can see that Grey Worm is wearing a pin on his chest, a silver circular pin. And Missandei is not wearing that pin. But in the other photo released by HBO, we can see that Missandei is now wearing this same pin Grey Worm was wearing. We know that Missandei and Grey Worm are very close and are attracted to each other, so it is possible that Grey Worm gave it to her as a gift. But I think it could also mean that Grey Worm may die, which then Missandei wears this pin as sort of a remembrance for Grey Worm, someone she did care for and like. And I'll do one more death prediction for this video, that way it's not too long of a video for you guys. But I will make a part 2 video because there are still several more characters that I believe will die next season. But the last character for this video will be Sweet Robin. I absolutely think Sweet Robin will die next season, and his ass might go right out that moon door too. Make the bad boy fly. Like I said earlier in this video, I do think that there will be a power struggle with the Vale next season. And Sweet Robin is already an underused character who will not likely come into play in the end. I think Sansa will end up with control of the Vale army, but not before Littlefinger most likely tries to fully secure the Vale for himself. I think Littlefinger could also have Sweet Robin killed. Littlefinger is really going to start to feel himself losing his grip and losing his power next season. He's going to become more desperate when he realizes he can't run to Cersei and he can no longer manipulate Sansa. And all he's going to have left is Sweet Robin. But I think Sansa may be able to turn Sweet Robin against Littlefinger. I think if anybody can do that, it would be Sansa. And I doubt Littlefinger will want to lose control of the Vale. And if he feels like Sansa and Robin are closing him out, that's when he's going to act. And he's going to have Sweet Robin and Jon Royce killed, which would pretty much leave nobody in his way in the Eyrie, giving him full control of the Vale. Game of Thrones is going to start thinning the herd very soon. We're going to lose most of these characters by the end. And considering the war against the Night King is coming during Season 8, they're going to need to kill off all these little side plots that are going on to make way for Jon and Dany to be mainly featured for this battle in the end, and ultimately a bittersweet ending. If you're not on Jon or Dany's team by Season 8, I think your character is expendable for sure. But in the final battle, it doesn't matter whose team you're on. Most of them are going to die anyway. But anyways, these are just some of my predictions for next season. I could be wrong with some of these, but deep down I do feel like these are some of the characters that need to be pushed out of the way so that they can focus on what's important and who is important. And quite frankly, none of these characters listed are important in terms of the grand scheme of things, so they must go. Comment below with your Season 7 death predictions. Let me know which characters you think are going to die next season. I'm curious to see what you think, especially if you have any big characters you think are going to die. I definitely want to know who and why. As always, thanks for stopping by and watching this video. Thanks for commenting down below. I always like discussing these things with you all. Also, a special thanks to the Patreon supporters. Goska, Lori, Daughter of Ice and Fire, Christopher, Thomas, Travis, Darren the Drunken, Brand the Builder, Sir Thomas, Cypher, Skylar, Carrie, Marine, Kyle, Brienne, Martin, Jeanette, Golden Girl, Nick, Jean, James, the Indie Sports Car Podcast, and my main girl Britt, aka Theon Defense Squad. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you down below. Bye.